All right, team, welcome to this training that's going to be walking you through publishing your website live. Now, I do want to go ahead and make this clear that this does also apply to funnels, but we're going ahead and talking about websites right now, but it's very similar to funnels and websites, very similar there. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do is literally, this is going to be very easy if you followed along step by step so far in this training, because all we need to do is we need to just make sure that everything is nice and tidy in our website, that we've done everything properly, and then we're just going to go ahead and publish it very, very simply. Okay, so make sure that we do is we want to make sure that our website is actually on our domain name, okay? And so we've talked about this in a previous training already. If you have not done that, make sure you go ahead and do that right now. But we've talked about going ahead and making sure that it is in fact on your naked domain. So for example, in this case, I have a test domain, theyassine.com. And so that is going to be the naked domain. I'm going to go ahead and put it on, okay? From there, we do have the path where you can go ahead and set this as /home1, completely up to you. You then want to make sure that you go ahead and hit save. Now you might end up getting something like this because in this case, this test domain I use for a bunch of different test funnels, when we're recording trainings and stuff. So it looks like it is kind of all messed up in regards to where it is, but I just want to show you this, right? So we're going to put this over here, settings, this is the Yassine, and then it says home, and then that home 123 got messed up. Why? Because somewhere in a different website, maybe, I do in fact have, I think it might be, is it this one maybe? Settings, no, that's NutriFit Wellness. I might remove this one here, hit the save. Removing the domain name. Yes, I'm sure we'd remove the domain name and we got to hit remove. Okay. So anyways, what I'm showing you here is that if you get an error where it says that, hey, you're using this domain for something else, you might need to go in and check, hey, where else are you using this, right? So in this case, it looks like I might be using this domain for this funnel, and it looks like I might have some other pages that are related to this, right? So you just want to be careful because of course you don't want things to overlap, because then it's just like an address, right? What's happening is that this is your domain. It's like an address, and then there's a path to your domain, right? So for example, you might have your city, and then you have your street, and then you have your address, right? So this domain is kind of like your street, and then on your street you have whatever, your pages that belong on there. And so you got to be careful about having an overlap, because then the internet doesn't know how to send traffic there. So in this case, I'm going to put home 2 because I have a little bit of a mix up. In your case, you can probably put home 1. And then what you're going to do is you just want to go ahead and make sure you go over here, settings, you want to see, okay, I have home over here. In this case, I want this to be just straight up home. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if that saves for me in just a second. So we'll go ahead and see what that looks like. And then I go ahead and click on this, go to settings. And then in this case, you see sometimes it doesn't save. And the reason sometimes it won't save is because of the fact that there is some sort of kind of like disconnect going on with all of the different pages, right? So in this case, it's perfectly fine. If I wanted to just go ahead and make this just, home 1, let's just try home 3, right? So home 3 should stick on there. Now, what we also want to go ahead and do is we want to also go ahead and make sure that we check what our root domain is pointing to. So we go to settings, we then go over here to domains. From there, we're then going to find theyassine.com or whatever your root naked domain is. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to set the default page. This is very important. I'm going to set the default page to, we had the NutriFit Wellness website home right here. Boom, click on that. And then the 404 error page, I'm going to set that as the home as well. And then I'm going to hit save. Very important in order to get your website published and live, okay? Now, what you can do is that you can actually copy this link, and you could type it, and you can put it into an incognito window, right? So you go ahead and click right here, new incognito window. Now, if you don't know what an incognito window is, an incognito window, what it does is it actually goes ahead and shows you a browser, a window into the internet that doesn't have any previous history, any cookies, any information. So it's kind of like a clean slate versus your main window. Right now you're logged into a bunch of stuff. There's some cookies that are saved in that window, all of that stuff, right? So what you do is you open an incognito window, and there's a command hotkey. A hotkey is basically a shortcut on your keyboard, Command Shift N, or you can always just click on the 3 dots and then open it from there. And then I like to go ahead and put it over here and see, you know what? If I go to theyassine.com, is it actually going to show up or not? And boom shakalaka, just like that, you'll see that our website is in fact showing up, and there's our chat widget. There's everything looking nice and clean, and we can go ahead and actually test this on our mobile device as well. Okay, so again, I want to make this very clear. You want to make sure that when you go to your domain, you go over here to settings, domains, find your naked domain, click on the 3 dots, go to edit, okay? And then you want to set up what your default page and your 404 page are going to be. You want to select what those are, and you want to map those to your actual website, okay? And then let me just check over here, sitemap. I think we're good to go here. We don't have to worry about this, okay? And then we also want to go inside of sites, websites, change the settings on here, as well as changing the settings on here as well. Okay, now again, this is only for this specific kind of template that we've shown you, but this same skill applies to any website you ever build. This applies to any funnel you will ever build as well. Now, next up, in addition to the domains, what we're going to also go ahead and do is, as you're going through this entire process, if you don't see in your incognito window the website that you want to see, you want to go open this up and you want to make sure that you actually hit publish, okay? Because what ends up happening sometimes as we're walking you through all of these changes, we did emphasize hitting save, but publish is kind of like something that you do when you're like, you know what, I want this to be published finally. Now, sometimes, I'll be honest with you, I just hit save and then I hit publish right after that because it's kind of synonymous to each other. But sometimes in some cases, you're like, you know what, I only want to make tweaks and I only want to make changes, but I'm not yet ready to push it live to the internet. If that is the case, then you would only hit save and you would not hit publish, right? But in many cases, you can hit both of them together. And then obviously you have your SEO metadata on there as well. So you hit save. And then I usually just go ahead and after that saving is done, I then go ahead and hit publish. And then boom, shakalaka, just like that. We then have the website that is live. And again, I'm going to go ahead and emphasize this. This would also be the exact same process for funnels as well, right? So you'd make sure that it's on your actual domain. You then go in and make sure that the path over here is good. You then go in and make sure all of the individual paths, and that's where for funnels it's a little bit different, where on the individual paths for funnels, you have to make sure that it's on the publishing tab as well as on the actual funnel step as well. And we've talked about this in a previous training already, so I'm not going to go through it here, where we talked about updating the page paths and how there is a difference between funnels and websites. So if you're confused about this, if you're like, hey, this is going over my head, make sure you go ahead and go back to that previous training that goes ahead and talks about this. And so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you have followed all of these steps throughout this entire process thus far, then you should have your website live. And most importantly, you also should have each of the individual skills. This is so key, okay? You have each of the individual skills on how to actually build this. We've talked about how to actually pick the template, how to be able to understand what the website builder looks like. We've talked about the SEO metadata. We've talked about the contact us form. We've talked about how to build forms in general, how to add forms as elements onto websites or funnels. We've talked about how to be able to add the website chat, how to be able to connect the domain. We've talked about how to update the page paths, how to be able to go ahead and optimize for mobile. And now we're talking about how to publish this website live, as well as any other steps that you followed along throughout all of these tutorials and trainings. Okay, so you have the skills now to be able to go ahead and build websites, and then on top of that, build funnels and build sales funnels. And of course, we're going to have so many more courses and so many more trainings for you to be able to walk you through. And more importantly, we're going to have so many more templates for you that are going to be so much easier, 80 to 90% of the way there. So it's plug and play for you to be able to go ahead and run your business and be able to go out there and focus on what is most important to you, which is delivering amazing results so you can have the income, impact, and freedom that you are looking for with your clients and in your life. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been this specific training on publishing your website live. If you do have any questions, if they are technical related to the platform, make sure you do go ahead and reach out to ClientKit support. And if they are related to something that we have provided you, go ahead and reach out to the community. One of the community members who is a fellow peer with you in the industry will be able to go ahead and help you. So with that being said, we will catch you in the next training.